Hey there folks, as I mentioned before, I'm working on a more comprehensive video on what makes a lolcow. I've decided that one of my subjects sucks way too much to include. He's got all the qualifications for lolcow and even more as a horror cow. However, he's just so awful it's not worth mentioning him with the other subjects. Plus, as a flaming narcissist, he'd just get off on hearing his name mentioned alongside the better bovines. So, as kind of a preview of the format itself, here's a part I cut.
I don't mean to be a pain in the ass, but I don't want to talk about this guy anymore.
Declaration. I'm not going to waste any more carbon emissions on this turd either.
Yeah, me too. Lolcows run in cycles, that's a given, but this buttheads are pretty much identical. You can walk away from Raxo for a month or two and come back to find him in the same part of his cycle, except he'll be doing something incredibly dumb and entertaining. This guy, well, shit. We walked away when he was typing off screen while nothing played, and weird AI art featuring him was on screen. And that is exactly what he was doing when we checked in the other day.
I know, I was there. I don't really want to talk about him either. He was kind of like fruit stripe gum. At first it was fun trying to figure out if he was serious about his bullshit. And he does have a rather rich backstory as Kitty style that's worth looking into. However, in a rather short amount of time, the flavor was totally gone, and all that remained was a wad of gray, moist disappointment. As a side note, I think Fruit Stripe would have been better off using their flavor in candy.
So, who's gonna present the segment?
Hello!
C8 is... Good luck, little buddy. We're off to do more important things.
More important than Timbo, eh? That's easy. I'm gonna go stare at the sun.
Do what?
Announcement. Present the segment on Spud Dud. The notes are there. You can read now. It should be fairly straightforward. I'm off to locate Andy Ditch.
Oh wow, my first segment! And oh man, it has to be this asshole? Well, I guess beggars can't be doozers, but how do I do it?
Suggestion? Compare him to Raxo.
Yeah, thanks HK!
Reassurance. Hello, Andy. This won't hurt much.
Well, like the graphic says, he's pretty much the worst lolcow. He calls himself Tim Dooley, the potato of life, but that's just his rebranded name. You see, he's a horror cow too. Hey, look, they made a checklist. Guess I'll go through it. Delusions. Oh boy, has he got those. Maybe even worse than meaty me. This butthead claims to be God, and he means it, which is pretty funny considering you wouldn't expect God to have trolls. Objectively, terrible content, check plus, bad karaoke, worse AI music, AI art, AI stories about himself, AI ball washing and content sniping, all set to the theme of him as God. No self-awareness. Oh yeah, if you ask him, he'll insist this isn't true. Meanwhile, he once threatened the trolls with the ultimate baby nuke. He was gonna tell his mommy. Someone with self-awareness wouldn't say that kind of thing, let alone actually do it, which he did. A way out that he ignores, roger that. He says streaming is his job. Meanwhile, he lives off of disability from Denmark and perks from mommy. He once broke his TV doing karaoke, blamed the trolls, and got his mom to buy him a new, bigger TV. Yep, safe to say he doesn't need to be here. He's an even bigger horror cow. We'll get into the PDF-ery in a minute. Right now, let's listen to him talk about something he's proud of.
Here's some other papers. It says here, the person has been mentally evaluated by declaring 2nd of July 2013. It's in all the testimonies. In all the testimonies we have listened to, the person, the potato, was punching the woman in the head. In this court case, it says that the potato was punching a woman in the head after his friend, his faithful friend, and all these people have witnessed it. He punched her in the face 3 to 5 times. It's in the diverging explanation of how many times and he was kicking. Okay. Interesting. Okay, and then he was released. He was released just like that. They let him go. The potato. Oh, isn't that crazy? The potato is crazy. Well, so the court case that really happened. You know, that case with the lady, with my, you know, all of that was real. That happened. That really happened. And the court, is there more about it? I think it says that they let him go. You know, they let him go. That's the thing. Page 4. Is there more? These things are messed up, you know, you see. I found a potato, simple and small, but when I sliced it, it wasn't small at all. These are like personal documents and things, guys. It's okay, there's only one page of this. Unfortunately, all of the rest is missing. But it says here that he brutalized her. The potato brutalized her. On the left side of the on her arm, she had 4 bruises that was blue by 1 centimeter. So blue marks that was like this. 4 of them. So she had 4 blue marks on her left arm. You see? From where the potato grabbed her arm. About 2 centimeters between each blue mark. Okay.
Right now, we need to point out that the reason we know so much about Timbo is because of Timbo himself. He doxed his real name and family info on stream. He's the one who confessed to touching his stepsister. All so-called negative information leads to him, and things he said on stream. We also need to give a shout out to Mondo Kane for catching this and allowing us to use it. Another shitty thing about him is his attempts to weaponize his insanity. We're including a link to Mondo's video so you can hear him talk about his mental health issues. We aren't psychiatrists, but the bottom line is obvious. He has more going on than ADHD. He could be taking medication, but he chooses not to seek treatment. Meanwhile, he will more than happily accuse anyone who says something he doesn't like of taking advantage of a mentally handicapped person. A mentally handicapped god. Wow. He is also an AI junkie. He kind of has to be. It's the only thing willing to call him God. Of course, that's under the pretense of some kind of whimsical farce that the AI has almost no way to know is no farce. So, like Meaty Me, he is also a great big poser. Can you imagine being so desperate for validation that you'd show both of these pictures to your audience? After the first one, you obviously made yourself, didn't get a reaction, you stooped to having AI generate something better. That is a sad and hilarious thing to see in a man approaching 40, who also claims to be a genius. Also like Meaty Me, he likes to say he controls all timelines. He doesn't, obviously. And as far as this timeline goes, it's obvious he's far from in charge. Here are 3 bits of history from his past presented in both reality and what we call Dao La Land, which is where he chooses to live. Yes, he does indeed blame his little stepsister for what he did. Imagine someone so vile they'd blame a single-digit age child for his perversion. Well, you don't have to. He blames children for seeking out PDFs. As he said in the linked video, what a piece of shit. In 2011, about a year before Meaty Me attacked Sally, Timbo ended up in a mental hospital. There he says he had a prophetic dream of impending doom to Washington, D.C. and all the skyscrapers therein. Since D.C. has no skyscrapers, his faith in the dream seems misplaced. In 2016, a Danish politician gave an attaboy to the police for cracking down on hash dealers in a suburb of Copenhagen. Timbo was furious she'd have the gall to say something so offensive. He contacted her on Facebook and threatened her, which is always a big brain thing to do to a politician. He also looked up her address, which made it seem like more than simply threats. Long story made short, he went to prison and is a felon. At the end of 2018, his girlfriend at the time revealed text messages he'd sent admitting to showing someone under 10 how to masturbate. Combined with the prison thing and his other creepy behavior, he was promptly canceled. He gave up on Kitty Style and eventually rebranded himself into the Spud Dud of today, who is locked in a loser loop. He wants people to believe he's not Thomas Dahl anymore. That guy died, crucified for being too awesome. He's Tim Dooley now. As you can guess, he hasn't met much success. Yesterday, our meatbag dropped in to complete an experiment he was conducting. Give Spud Dud a couple of months to grow, then come back and compare growth. It was no surprise to find Timbo doing the exact same thing, acting the exact same way, and even using some of the exact same AI pictures. That Egyptian-looking one is a favorite, we guess, even though Gigi Allen correctly pointed out that perspective drawing wasn't an Egyptian thing.
I know you've grown your skills, so that's in the mind. That's in the mental. And that's good. That's good too, you know, growing in philosophy, understanding words, you know, they're growing the tree that way. But also the spirit is important though, because to do things, you live in reality, well, so you haven't grown, is what you're saying, right? You don't even understand me. So if you don't understand me, you think I'm delusional or whatever, then why are you here? I don't appreciate you sitting there and talking down to people that are mentally ill. Right, that's a really bad look. You should grow your spirit. I don't want to see that. That's disgusting. You know, if you want to sit here and look down at mentally ill people or mentally handicapped people, it already shows that you haven't grown, right? Imagine that, telling a mentally handicapped person, hey, you haven't grown. Like, well, why are you so mean? Why are you such a shitty human being? It's just disappointing. I think you should come in with a better attitude next time and show that you can grow. Because otherwise, I mean, holy shit, can you imagine somebody who's spiritually broke coming into God's office and telling God, hey God, you haven't grown in the past couple of months. And then you go on to dehumanize, like you're just, no. You don't put mentally handicapped gods down.
Same old Timbo, always the victim. As you can see, the only thing the meatbag did was point out the obvious and ask the guy who claims he's always growing how much he grew in a couple of months.
Statement. I cannot believe how nimble that large meatbag was.
I'm back too. As a robot, I was able to comfortably count sunspots in the meantime. Oh, and there's a pretty big solar flare too, but didn't look like it was heading our way. Ah, shit! We're still talking about this guy?
No, I'm done too. We can move on to the next Lolcow. In fact, I insist that we move on. Now!
What's the matter, C8? You don't like PDFs who brag about beating abuse cases and things?